All right, thanks for tuning into our broadcast at unleashindependence.com. We have David from OpsGear.com. David, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
David, if you wouldn't mind just telling our viewers some of your experience and your background.
Yeah, I spent 11 years in the United States Air Force, about 7 of that in special operations. Then after that, got heavily involved in civilian search and rescue, became an instructor for Dive Rescue International and about 300 instructors around the world. And then became an instructor for NASAR, National Association for Search and Rescue. During that time, did some high-profile recoveries, and then transitioned into business after that, and then became a bodyguard for high-risk areas about 3 or 4 years ago, certified by an Israeli group out of Las Vegas.
Very cool, very cool. Speaking of your search and rescues, you had a video on when you went to Haiti. That was a very emotional video. Do you have anything that you'd like to share about that or your experience with that?
Yeah, Haiti came after I got my bodyguard certification, so I actually applied to go to Haiti as a volunteer for the recovery operations to get people out of the debris, because there were 300,000 killed and 2 million displaced. And I ended up going down carrying a rifle and a pistol and a thigh rig and being in charge of security for the Utah Hospital Task Force. Medieval, apocalyptic, all of those words do define Haiti.
Wow. Well, I personally, I just want to say thank you so much. Not all of us can go out and do these things, and I'm really grateful that there are people that can, and it means a lot, so I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. It's an honor to be able to participate in those kind of missions. John West, who's our executive vice president, came to Haiti as well. A key guy in country. Helped the task force commander as his primary bodyguard when I was doing other things, and hats off to him and for going as well.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
When Brock and I were talking about doing this interview, we really wanted to bring in somebody that had some solid credentials to talk about self-defense, to increase self-reliance and independence. Whether you're protecting yourself or your family. In your opinion, how important is being able to protect yourself or family? And how does that help with your independence?
I think that's a great question. I think it's the question we've been asked. I've personally been asked over about a decade, since 9/11, decade plus. We established the Urban Warfare Center in 2002, which is a force-on-force training facility designed to help people kind of peel the onion in a fight and find out how they respond. We extended that to military, law enforcement, and civilians. And so we have about a decade of stress inoculation where we impose it by attacking the sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, the 5 physical senses. And so when we talk about this, it's based on that reference. It's based on looking at human beings, all of us, regardless of your background or makeup, male and female, old and young, and how they respond under duress. And one of the common denominators we see, the people that have had a lot of life experiences have exposed themselves to a little bit of risk. Maybe they've rappelled, maybe they've shot firearms competitively, maybe they are scuba divers, maybe they are not afraid to fall backwards and let somebody catch them in one of those team building kind of moments. Yeah. That those folks are able to oftentimes look inside. And that's probably the one key to preparing yourself to survive the zombie apocalypse or a confrontation that's violent. The people that can look inside often are able to determine where they need to train and where they need to enhance their skills. In the absence of that, we find people most likely going to be in a lot of trouble, because as stress hits you, you get into a fight, somebody on the street opposes you, and you're not able to break contact and get away. You are basically, because the stimulation comes through the brainstem back here, 5 physical senses get attacked, and you decide based on fight, flight, or freeze what you're going to do. Freeze, I'm hoping it goes away. It's a predatory response. When we fight, sometimes we might not have the right tools. Sometimes we do, and and that's a really an important response. But it's not as important as maybe fleeing. Fleeing might be the right one. So the point is, and the summation of it is, which one are you going to do is dependent upon how much experience you have and how much you've exposed yourself to being vulnerable and at risk. That's why combat veterans who go back to their second and third tours do better than they did on their first tour. Sure. They're aware of the body, how it reacts, and they're aware of perhaps even the circumstances they might be exposed to. So it's a real science, and it's also it's fascinating to watch, and it's fun to see people progress really rapidly, specifically in our training programs that we've offered in the past, by exposing themselves to vulnerability.
Oh, great. No, that's amazing. I had no idea.
Yourself mentally and emotionally, and letting somebody undress you emotionally and mentally is pretty much what we did.
Wow. No, I mean that, I've never had it actually explained that way, so I didn't know that you went through the whole process. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So what does a civilian do? What does somebody do who's not really a commando or a SWAT guy? How do they get into a posture where they might be able to defend themselves or protect themselves? First thing we would teach is, and you've already keyed into this earlier on as we've talked, situational awareness, being aware around your surroundings and not becoming a victim to somebody else's plan. And that just takes a good set of eyes, a good set of ears, and the willingness to, instead of being locked down on your music and your jams at the red light, kind of swivel your head a little bit and look around. If you can identify the problem before it happens, you can get out of the Pizza Hut, you can get out of the joint or whatever the place is, or wherever it is it might go down, your home, your garage, or supermarket parking lot, and you can avoid the conflict. We talk a lot about time on target. Don't be there very long. Don't be there at all if you can avoid it. If you get sucked into the phone booth and you have nowhere else to go, we have a series of DVDs that breaks it down into principles. Volume 1 is principles. High and low on somebody, inside or outside. Joint manipulation, how do I manipulate you if I have to get out of trouble? How do I strike you with gross motor movements that are part of my fear response, where blood and energy and juice is being jammed to the big muscle groups, the heart and the brain, to help me fight, flight, or freeze? How do I now leverage that to my favor in a fight to kick somebody head over heels, which helps me to break contact? Those are the dynamics we talk about in the DVD series, and they're designed for everybody. And my experience is in teaching that live, it's very effective. But the DVDs only really do two parts. They see and hear, and the third part you have to do. So
they can get the DVDs at OpsGear.com?
OpsGear.com. Cabela's, Shields carries the women's self-defense, the defensive handgun. I think Sportsman's Warehouse is carrying several of our DVDs as well, some of the training ones. Cabela's carries the full line of the self-defense series. Okay. So
I've even seen at
our retail store.
Yeah, retail store, which we're shooting
386 North Redwood Road. Yeah.
So for the sight and the ears, we have that solution. But what if there's someone that wants to get involved? Do you offer anything as far as civilians, or where can people
want to test themselves?
Yeah.
We used to offer the training. We used to offer it. For a decade we did it because of 9/11 mainly, and we've stopped doing that formally. But if a large group wants to have the training, we're open-minded to that, and we will find a place and a time to offer the training depending on what their needs are. But we have to, get a group of around 10 or 20 to make it worth our while, and so we would entertain that. Okay. Where else you do it? It's a great question. Some of the things we tell people they can do: take a self-defense class, regardless of where it's at. Get involved in some martial arts. But remember, martial arts is not necessarily designed to help defend yourself, depending on the martial art. It's designed to help you get in shape and do forms and traditional styles of martial arts that don't always have the direct correlation with defending yourself. So you got to be careful. Krav Maga is a very great style, the Israeli style, very aggressive. Kimpo, a great style for self-defense. Outside of that, if you shoot firearms and you want to prepare for the gunfight, we take people to the range, or we encourage people to go to the range and challenge themselves. Put some time pressure on yourself. Put your weapon on the counter unloaded. Have yourself loaded before you shoot, and put a little time pressure on and see how long it takes you to do that. Take your weapon and shoot it with your offhand. If you're right-handed, shoot it with your left hand at the target, really close, like 3 feet away, 4 feet, then 10 feet, and see how you do. Those styles of training help put a little bit of self-imposed pressure and really pay dividends when you get in a fight, because the same adrenaline that's released during that is the same adrenaline that's released during a fight.
Sure.
So you get a little more accustomed to being off balance or out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. No, that's
we
good
live
stuff.
there. We live out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And if you see our films, you'll see that.
Absolutely. So, kind of changing the subject a little bit. I really appreciate that's really good information, and that's great. What got you started? Why did you decide to follow this path of service?
I didn't know I really started to follow this path, whatever the path looks like to other people. I'm not sure what it looks like to you. I know what it looks like to me. And the path, if you're articulating it as military rescue, I end up in Haiti, Japan after the tsunami, Nicaragua, Thailand, and Burma. My dad got up every day, put a badge on. I saw him do it. Donned a gun, put a badge on, went to Los Angeles City, and was a Los Angeles policeman. I saw that all growing up as a little kid since 1961 when I was born. He graduated LAPD, and until 1984, he went on duty. So I saw that all growing up, and I thought, well, that's what heroes do. That's what good guys do. Now, when I say hero, I don't mean like that's the goal. It's not. But it's what good guys do. to go make a difference. It's the guy in the cape. It's the Captain America. I saw that with my dad, and I think ingrained became the desire to become like that. My brother did too. He's been a cop for almost 30 years now, SWAT guy, and an avid trainer of people, military, law enforcement, mainly the law enforcement side. And then the life unfolded where, military came, and what I did in the military changed and evolved based on my drive and interests to be out there doing it. And then I got out and got into business, rescue, and then I got into business, kind of put it down. And then 9/11 happened. And I wanted to pick up 9/11 in a different way. I wanted to go in country, in theater, and do things. And I think sometimes there's a little bit of divinity tied with a little bit of what we want and who we are. And I think the mesh of that is the result of the last decade for me, which is a lot of different countries, a lot of trauma in different types and styles and ways, and still a drive to do that. Still a drive to still do that. I want to continue to participate, but I'm weighing it out heavily and carefully. The risk-benefit side of it. Is it worth the risk for the benefit? Not for necessarily my benefit, but for the mission, where I'm going and who I'm serving.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I really appreciate your time and everything and talking with us. So what are the websites you have? We have
OpsGear.com,
okay.
www.opsgear.com. We have OpsMedia.com, where we have some of our videos and some nice desktop backgrounds. Phone backgrounds are kind of fun. We have FreeTacticalTips.com, where we show a couple hundred techniques to help get out of trouble. That's all free. UrbanWarfareCenter.com. TAC60.com, TAC60.com. It's a technique, a product review, or a skill that we have to be able to do in under 60 seconds, or it doesn't meet the criteria. Okay. And that's kind of fun for the internet market because they get bored.
Sure.
And then we have, I think, the last of all those is TAC Talk, TACTalk.com, where we post articles about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, lessons learned from different places we've been and things that we've done or people have posted elsewhere that we get the permission to repost. So those are some of the sites.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. All right.
Very honored. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Really. So we'll have all those links down below. You can go ahead and check that out. Thanks very much for watching the video. And remember, study, practice, teach.
UnleashIndependence.com